What's going on, bruh?
This is it.
This
I'm
is it. We
good, bro.
live with it today.
We live with it, man.
Definitely live with it. Well, we definitely want to welcome everybody tuning in. We are also streaming live on YouTube at this very moment. We are also on YouTube. Final Notice podcast on YouTube. Like to welcome everybody to the Final Notice. It is our first episode. It is our first recording actually going live. No test runs. This is it. No scripts. Just straight raw emotion introduction to who we are and why we're here. I feel like it's important for people to know the method behind the madness, as they say.
All right.
So, if you're coming on, please go ahead and share the live. If you know somebody that don't have a Facebook, you can always tell them to go on YouTube and then follow us on YouTube as well. And if you do go on the YouTube page, please hit that subscribe button for us so that way we can get as many followers as we can in regards to reaching out with the message that me and my brother and myself have. We do have a third member, but was not able to be here today. So we will formally introduce him when he is available. Due to some time conflicting time scheduling, he was not able to make it on this first episode. So we'll definitely have another introduction with him introducing himself to you. So without any further ado, I would like to pass the microphone virtually to my brother so that way he can introduce himself.
Hey, God bless everybody. My name is Aaron Bradshaw, and I don't know. This is the part that I knew I was gonna struggle with. I'm me. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that knows me, everybody that understands me, I'm just me. If I was to sum it up, I guess I would say I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who change anybody.
No, that's right. So one would ask, right? One would ask, or should I introduce myself? Let me introduce myself.
Nah, yeah, you can do that. I'm gonna
All right,
follow you, bro.
let me introduce myself. Let me also
Yeah.
introduce myself. So
No,
for those who don't know,
that's your thing.
I
Yeah.
know he's trying to be modest. He is
Nah.
a somebody. He may not be a somebody to everybody, but he is a somebody to other people. And he's a very great friend of mine. And I took him on as a brother, and he took me on as a brother. Um, we known each other since college at Coppin State. So shout out to CSU, Baltimore City, West Side.
West Side.
That's where I met Aaron at, and we became friends from the first semester when I was up there. So for those who don't know or who already know who I am, of course, the founder of FTP Movement, which stands for the People Movement, and also Black Rhythm Coalition. So definitely, again, my name is JoJo. Some people call me Kojo. You can call me Brother Kojo, Brother JoJo. It don't matter. As long as there's no disrespect attached to my name, I am comfortable with that. Um, Question. So I'm gonna throw that question to you. I think this is a question that I feel like it's important because it's easy to put a microphone in front of somebody and have them talk.
Absolutely.
But I think it's important for you to introduce yourself to the people so that way they understand who you are and where you coming from and why you here. Because everybody have a podcast, everybody has a platform, everybody has a voice. Why you and our voices are different from the rest of the other people. And I feel like it's important for it being our first episode for people to really understand and get to know who we are and why we're here. What is the purpose behind the Final Notice? Why even the title Final Notice? So with that being said, I'm gonna pass that on to you. Why who are you and why you here?
All right. So that's a different question. So I believe is how I look at it because who I am, um, I'm just a part of the mission. Like my mission statement and who I am. Um, well, I'm gonna start from the beginning. I was a minister and licensed minister, ordained minister in two different church organizations. I've was at a point in my life when I started this journey where I was trying to find myself and who I was. And as I began this journey, I realized that there was a lot of things being poured inside of me, the knowledge, the wisdom, the compassion for people, the need for people. Because when I accepted this, I was at a broken stage, and I had to learn how to pick my pieces up. So along the road, as I was picking my pieces up, and I was putting myself together. First of all, I realized I had to break me completely down. I'm at 28 years old. I had to destroy and break down who I was. I had to rebuild myself up in a faith and in something um, that was much bigger than me. At 28 years old, I lived a life and did everything that I wanted to do that was necessary. I decided to get married. I decided to have a child. I decided to go to Coppin. I decided not to go to Coppin. Um, I decided to do all of these different things. And not once did I include my creator, my savior, my Lord, my savior, and none of those decisions. So when I found myself at this pivotal moment in my life, when I was broken, I had to tear down everything that I thought I knew, and I built myself back up in His image and the things that I ran for answers. So as I was running for answers and I was being filled up, I've reached a part in my life when I started being happy, started looking for purpose, and I know that's something that a lot of people struggle on. A lot of that purpose. A lot of people wake up every day and just live life, and they just go about their, they pay bills and they work and they pay bills and they go to sleep and they deal with issues in life, and then they pay bills. And it had to be more than that. So on this journey road, I got to a point where I was questioning and trying to figure out who I am. And as I was doing that and being created, I was being filled up. And as I was being filled up, what was put in my heart was to pour back out into the empty vessels and pour back out into people who needed that encouragement and needed that support. And, it's been more than 5 years since I actually stepped foot in a church, because I left because I got tired of playing the games of church, playing the politics of church. I left because I had a true heart for people. I think the Freddie Gray incident was another incident when they put out that federal report about redlining. And, I'm growing up, I'm maturing, I'm reading what redlining is. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like they systematically decapitated our people. They financially handicapped us. They put us in places so that we couldn't grow. And when all of these things became relevant, I was like, I got to do this for my people. Everything that I did was like community, investing in people. That's who I am. So I don't mind pushing other people. I don't mind loving on other people. So I'm on this platform, and I'm here today to try to encourage somebody out there. What I found out is that there are people out there that want to hear the truth. There are people out there that know the truth, and they're not hearing it. They're not getting it. And if you look up in today's church and a lot of things that's happening, there's a lot of people that walked away. There's a lot of empty churches running around here. And they wonder why they can't fill it, because people are tired of the BS, man. People are tired of, I call it emotional orgasms. They walk away from a situation and they're still not filled, So my thing is, Christ's ministry was a deliverance ministry. And I don't have time to be playing around anymore. And I want to give the people that support. I feel like I'm either going to water a seed or I'm going to plant a seed. And I'm going to let my Father get the increase. And that's how.
And it's crazy. And I'm glad you was able to you sharing this with us, because it's crazy, because when we first went to college, neither you and I ever thought about, being in this position right now.
No way.
I feel like we all come from different walks of background, but we all have so much similarities. And I think one of the similarities that you and I both had was the struggling part, trying to figure out who we are as a person, as a human being, right? Hey, shout out to Brandon. Thank you for coming on, Brandon. Please, if you come on, we are live. We are streaming on Facebook and also YouTube. On Facebook, we are streaming on the Finding Notice podcast on Facebook and also as well on YouTube. Okay, so thank you for coming on. And if you do come on, please share this. This is our very first episode, and we're doing it live.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother.
So, and it's like one of the things that I think, like, we both had was the struggling part of trying to figure out who we are as not just as human beings, but as really as men, men of God. You know what I'm saying? And I think, and as I shared this yesterday on our supposed to be our test run, which was about to take off into a deeper conversation, I talked a little bit about finding myself in 2014. And I think that's when I really figured out who I was. Many people that know me. Some people know me from my past, and I really don't like it that they know me from my past and they don't know who I am now as a person. You get what I'm saying? And when I figured out who I was 2014, and that's when I kind of like shifted away about worrying about what people thought about me, how people viewed me, how people see me. I started to think about, well, how do God see me? How does the kingdom sees who I am? How do I use my abilities that I've been given, not because I earned it, but because I was given this mission, I was given this privilege, right? To use my voice to not to break somebody, but to put somebody back together that is broken. How can I be that instrument that lift up the brokenhearted mother who then lost her child? How can I put a smile on somebody's face that have everything that it possibly had ripped away from them, and they had to start from scratch.
Absolutely.
And I think it was 2014 is when I realized that. And I remember the first time I was called to preach to as well. And I really never been to any biblical school or any college or anything like that for ministry, anything like that. But the first time they called me to give the word in my church, which is the Church of Pentecost in Hyattsville, Maryland. First of all, anybody that know African churches, they're very strict on appearance. So with guys having hair, locks, whatever braids, they kind of like look down on you upon that. So when the first time they called me to preach, I said, hold on, man, you see what I look like? And I remember the presiding elder saying that, hey, are you concerned about the way you look or the message that you have to bring to the people? And I said, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, because if they're going to look at me for who I am and judge me from my appearance, then that's on them. But I just wanted to make sure that, because I know this kind of like stipulations and stuff like that, they know this is what I'm coming with, right?
Absolutely.
So after I was done giving the message, right? People was in awe. And I remember he came back up to the podium and he was like, why y'all surprised? Why y'all looking so shocked? And I think they didn't really understand what he was saying. And what he was saying is that in order for you to be able to relate to people, in order for you to be able to reach the people that you want to reach, in order for you to be able to talk and speak that blessing upon somebody, you must have first gone through that situation so that way you can relate. There have to be some type of relation. In every relationship, even the word relationship, you have to have something in common, right? Whether it's previously or currently. And I felt like he said something that was really interesting. He said, those who God wants, he allows them to travel within the world so that way they can gain that experience. So when they come in, they're standing and speaking those words to people, they know what they're saying. You get what I'm saying? And it was through all my trials and tribulations is when I started figuring out, okay, who I am. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my calling? Why is it that I can have 10 friends, we can all go rob a bank, nobody will snitch on me, but I would get caught. I would get in trouble. I tried selling drugs, and I'm gonna keep it real with people. I tried selling drugs in college. I got caught. I tried selling drugs outside of college. I got caught. So one time my older brother said, he said, haven't you learned yet? I said, learn what? He said, haven't you learned it ain't meant for you to do wrong? I said, hey. He said, man, every time that you do something that you're not supposed to do, he said there's certain people that are able to get away with certain things because they meant to do that.
Right.
You try to do something, God is always going to expose you. I said, man, what the heck this guy talking about? I wasn't mature enough to understand what he was saying.
Right.
2014, and that's when I found myself by myself. And I said, man, God, I give up. And that's when the community activism started coming out. That's when the passion for the people really, I've always had that same passion you had, the love for people. You always want to see the smile on people's faces. I remember when I was young, I would see somebody crying, and I immediately would break down within myself, and even sometimes even have tears on my face as if I was a part of that situation.
Right,
But it was
right.
at that point where I really started to figure out who I was and what my calling was, and that's when I said, you know what, God, I give up. And the direction He's taking me in, the people that used to know me, especially from my neighborhood, and I love my neighborhood, but they probably still see me as the old person. They still see me as the person that wanted to rep the hood, rep the hood, rep the hood. Now the hood that I rep is it's not an earthly hood.
Right,
It's
right.
it's a heavenly hood that I feel like everybody needs to work hard to try to get to that part. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much that's when I kind of like realized, my calling and what I needed to do to adhere to that.
So I'm gonna drop this quick nugget on you real quick, right?
Mhm.
It's great that those people see you this way. You remember Doubting Thomas? They call him
Mhm.
Doubting Tom in the Bible.
Mhm.
I came to this revelation, and the type of day that I had, JoJo, I cannot wait to get to these other messages because one of the things we're going to talk about is leadership, you know. And you've been in the position that you are now, in the leadership position that we are in now, you know. One thing I realized, I come back from the old church when they tell you fake it till you make it. The
Mhm.
problem with faking it till you make it is that one day you actually have to make it. You know what I'm saying? So Jesus had to come back. The reason why he had to come back is so that they can see his scars. They believed in him even more when they saw his scars, bro. And that's the problem with some of the leadership today. I'll give you this little nugget. They don't want to show their scars, bro. They want to fake it till you make it. They want to keep making everything seem like everything is okay when it's not.
Mhm.
But they say a prophet is not received in his own land.
Mhm.
So you gotta show them your scars, bro. You gotta relate. That's the relatable aspect that she was talking about. So it's great that they see you the way that you are now, especially from where you came from. You know what I'm saying? Because they know the scars. They understand. But speaking of, I was trying to take notes while he was talking. Um, One of the things that had made me hesitate about this, and I wanted to put this out there, is that when I say I'm a nobody, I know that I'm somebody, and I know I'm
Mhm.
great. I know that I'm great, and that's not to say that I'm arrogant or anything, but I knew I was great when I was a kid. The problem was, I like I said, on the test, I just didn't know where to aim that at. I didn't have the proper guidance and the leadership. But I'm only great through God. I'm only great through my Father. You know what I'm saying? I'm not great on my own because there's no good thing in this flesh. And oftentimes I see people get this platform, and oftentimes I see people get in positions where this thing builds their ego and it makes them bigger than they really are. And then next thing you know, they're untouchable and they can't touch people. You know what I'm saying? They call Christ a shepherd. Shepherds do what? They lead from the back. But this modern day person, this modern day leader, and these people that give these platforms, that everybody want to be in the front, everybody want to be seen. So one of my prayers is, and I hope that everybody that's watching that has a praying heart and that really cares for you and me, is that they pray for us, man, to allow us to stay humble. Because the
Mhm.
biggest thing I never want to do is become more than or pretend that I'm more than who I am.
Mhm.
That's why I said that, man. I'm just a person with a message, bro. And I just want to stay lowly. I want to stay humble. I never want to be bigger than I am. I don't want to beat on my chest. Um, and I love who I am. I love being authentic. I love being real. I love being me. And I think I touch and reach more people because this calling and this message is made for imperfect people. But then you have people that run around and they keep trying to tell us that we're supposed to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? We're not perfect. There's no way in the world we're going to be perfect. But they keep giving us this lie that we're supposed to reach some kind of level of perfection at some point in time. And that's never going to happen.
Mhm.
And my thing is, I just want to be authentic. I want to be real. You know what I'm saying? I still struggle with things, that's not for everybody to know. But at the same time, you and I and whoever's listening, whoever is called, can still take that imperfect gift and that word and do the right thing by it, man, and still help people and still do what we're called to do as long as we stay low and stay humble, man. And
And
that's where I want to be.
I totally agree with you on that too, and I'm definitely with you on that. I remember we were talking yesterday, and man, you dropped some things yesterday, and I was telling my wife, I'm like, man, I kept playing that clip over and over and over and over again, and I'm gonna get to that, but before I get to that, If you are tuning in, this is the first episode of Final Notice Podcast. This is our very first live podcast that we're doing. We're streaming on YouTube at Final Notice Podcast on YouTube. We have a couple of comments here, but Brandon has said something I want to respond to real quick here. And then we're also streaming live on Facebook on Final Notice Podcast. And I am streaming also on my main page. Now, Brandon said something interesting. He said leaders will look and sound different moving forward. And I think that is really important. And you're absolutely right. Because the leaders that are needed for the world are the ones who are not being recognized. They always get overlooked because they don't fit that quote unquote that description of leadership. And I feel like you don't have to sit in the office, and I'm not talking about any particular office. I'm just talking about any type of leadership role. You don't have to be in that particular. It could be the lowest person in the company will be the one to have the greatest ideas to uplift your company if you listen to him, right? Mm-hmm. And I think because we're human beings and we have a look for certain things, we overlook the leaders. I know, just like you. And it's funny because when me and you get on the phone, we don't talk like every day. We go months before we talk. But when we talk on the phone, me and you used to always go back and forth like, yo, bro, man, this conversation, we need to have somebody else need to hear this conversation other than you. Because it's so genuine, but it's so impactful. And I felt like we had to do a platform where we can have these conversations to reach other men and other people who are struggling with the same thing we struggle with. And you said something yesterday, and I call it what you want, but that thing hit my heart the whole night. And when I woke up, the same feeling. You said in the book of Psalms, it says, he prepares a table before you in the presence of your enemy.
That's right.
But you asked a question. Your question was, are you prepared to sit at that table that he has prepared for you?
Yes,
and look at your enemies in your eyes. And I feel like a lot of people ain't ready for that. A lot of people
ain't want to be comfortable. It's one thing I learned in my life is that people will take a situation, and these people can be in hell. You know what I'm saying? Like the equivalent to hell, like hell on earth. They can be miserable, going to jobs every single day that they don't want to be at, and situations and relationships that they don't want to be in. And they will do everything in their power to make it comfortable instead of sitting down at the table. They don't want to look at. They don't want to sit at that table, man.
So and when you said that, I thought about it. I said, man, that is definitely a powerful thing, statement that you made, because I'm like, yeah, we are. He will prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. He will anoint my head with oil, my cup. When you see your enemy, and most of the time when you don't have no, belief in yourself, you're gonna be like, oh man, here he go.
Yes, indeed.
And then you ducking. Why didn't he say, I will prepare a table before you, and not say in the presence of your enemies? Why didn't he say that? Because God is a God, and this is what I know, and correct me if I'm wrong. God has always been a God of spectatorship. Every miracle that he did so people can see. So that way, like for example, like the walls of Jericho. He had them circle around the walls of Jericho. And then he as they shouted and gave praises and worship, the walls came down, right? So God could have snapped the finger and the walls could have came down. But he wanted people to know who he is. He wanted people to know that the God that these people serve, this is who I am. That's how powerful I am, right?
And more importantly, it tests you.
Right.
I remember one time I was talking to somebody and I was telling them, I know who it is, I just don't want to put them out there. I said, when you do all the things that you know you're supposed to do and you still don't get no answers, then come and talk to me. Because that's that whole wall of Jericho that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Because it's easy. Now, back in the day, you would hear people talk about walking around that wall of Jericho, but they made it seem like it's the easiest thing in the world. Mm-hmm. Until you realize the walls of Jericho was a whole city. Mm-hmm. And you have to walk around a whole city. Now think about that. You have to walk around the whole city of Baltimore 7 times. Yeah, you walk around there one time, you're feeling good. Walk around there 2 times, yeah, God's still with me. Wait till you get to that 5th or 6th time.
Where he at?
and you start being tested. and your patience. And then you gotta start wondering, dang, is this wall really gonna come down? When you really start asking those questions, he do that so that you know that what you're doing is the right thing. So it's a test of nutrition as well inside of us to let us know that we supposed to be doing what we're supposed to be doing, bro.
And you're absolutely right. And I think another thing that we also going to touch on this platform is the senseless violence in our community. And more importantly, we as Black men, what responsibility and roles do we have in making sure that the youth, and which that's who I'm passionate towards is the younger generation, because you and I, we didn't lived our life. If God called us tomorrow, we at least say we lived some type of a life. Now these younger generation, they're dying before they even get to they even enjoy their life. I had the pleasure of meeting one mother in PG County, and it wasn't. I didn't meet her on the best term as far as how I want to meet somebody. I met her through a tragic situation of her losing her child, and she's always been on my heart because her son's age is somewhere close to my son's age, and every time I look at my son, I always think about her, because I took her as a sister. And for you to take on as a sister, and for her to bury her son that is as so young, it's like, man, what can we do? What can I do? What can I do as a Black man? What can I do as a man in general? How can I save one youth? How can I save one child that looks like my child? What can I do to help help their community out? And I think that's really what kind of like, I got tired of seeing the news clips. I got tired of people inboxing and saying, hey man, X, Y, and Z, did you hear about this? I just heard it the other day, an old lady going to the grocery store. It's shot in the back twice in broad daylight. Not too long before then, a security guard going to pick up his check, get killed right there. Father of 4 or 5, he's dead. So the senseless violence that's going on in the community, that's another thing that we're going to talk about heavy. And I know you from Baltimore City. Yeah. You from Baltimore City. So I know you know what I'm talking about. And I lived in Baltimore.
Bro, that's one of the main reasons why, like I said, again, I do this. And I love doing this because I really want to break the chains, bro. I desire to break the chains of oppression in our minds, the chains of oppressions that we grew up in. I used to think when I started this, I used to wonder, like, how do you reach racist people? How do you reach the KKK? How do you let them know that the way that they grew up was wrong? When you grow up every day in your life, and then, I figured that if I can solve that problem and I can solve that, then you can solve a lot of different things. Like, how do you point out to people who grew up? I remember one time I was talking to my stepdad, and we grew up in some of the craziest circumstances and situations. And I'm grown now, got my own house, thank God. I got my own job. I'm moving, and I look back, I said, the way we grew up wasn't really the ideal situation. Anybody that grew up in the hood back in early 90s, and I mean hard hood, people know that they had to fight for the roaches in their cereal, get the government assistance, and hope you can pay the lights and stuff like that, and you scratch and get by. I said, bro, did you realize we grew up in poverty? And then him being much older, and I guess, he just moving through life and, doing what a man is supposed to do. He said, I never looked at it that way. He never looked at it. But see, as you get older and things like that, I feel like that's the goal, is to become better. I tell my daughter, I want you to be better than me. I'm going to give you the game. I'm going to tell you my struggles, my flaws, my faults, which is another thing that we try to hide, so that they can't be free. But every step that we go is supposed to be making people that's better. And now my nephew that's coming up after her, I desire for him to be better than her, because now he's younger and he has a fresher start, so that he can continue to carry the mantle and go. I thank God for my nieces and my nephews, because my nieces and my nephews, they're the ones that paved the way for my daughter to go,
And I see Brandon had a comment, and I want you to see if you want to go ahead and take on this one. We can get that posted on there real quick. Hold on. Can you see it?
Yeah, I did want to tell him that is also again another bulletin point to the other comment that he made. From this moment on, leadership has to change.
Mm-hmm.
We can't keep looking the wrong way. We can't keep being quiet, even though they're trying to silence us. I look at some of these other platforms and these angry black men, and don't get me wrong, I feel like they do have a right to be upset, but to go and attack people for their decisions or their ignorance, you know what I'm saying? Or like you can't attack people, bro, because they don't know any better, or
Mm-hmm.
you can't attack people because this is the circumstances. You got to love people through that. And I feel like, especially as a black man, we have everything that we need to do to set the standard and move forward. But I did want to address that part that he said. But let's look at this. He says, the more I look at heaven and hell, our mindsets, we live in a society where folks don't believe in anything. That is true. But again, us as leaders got to make them believe again.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget one day I was sitting in my meditation and I was wondering where the black leaders were. Where's the modern day Malcolm? Where's the modern day Martin? We got, and I live in Baltimore, and those that was in Baltimore, and I don't want to put nobody names out, we know who showed up when Freddie Gray were killed. We know the people that, we're going to march and hold hands and walk down the street. But as soon as the lights went off, as soon as the cameras went off, where were they?
You're gonna get us pulled off the plug right there with that truth right there, brother.
I said, where were they? And then I want to say a week later, it was 8 people that was killed in Emerson. And it was nobody around. Nobody said anything. So the whole thing that they have been doing for years was to desensitize us and make us not believe in anything. Remember this statement, Coppin? To each his own. Remember that? Man, I never heard that until I went to Coppin.
You went to Coppin, yeah.
To each his own. Do you? Everybody's been programmed to be selfish. Everybody's been programmed to be selfish. Now think about it. We have been in Coppin over 20 years. So for the last 20 years, people were being taught how to be selfish. Do you, boo? You know what I'm saying? Do you?
Do you?
Right. Everybody they so self-absorbed that the only thing that people do believe in or should or try to believe in is themselves. That's the reason why I don't nobody believe in anything. People don't believe in anything because they don't have nothing to believe in. But see, that's why this podcast was created. If we can be that voice in that wilderness yet again, if we can stand up and cry out yet again, you know what I'm saying? I still believe. I came from a place in Baltimore City where if one person came up on a block and tried to start some mess, you got to deal with the whole block. You got to deal with the whole neighborhood. Everybody's with cousins. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, you barely talk to your neighbor 2 houses down. You barely have conversations with people. How you doing, Miss Robinson? How you doing, so-and-so and so-and-so? You don't even have that anymore. You know what I'm saying? You'll probably talk to the person right next to you, but at the most part, you're not even having this conversation anymore with people. So that's what we got to do, man. We got to start setting the standard. We are the light. We are the ones that were put here. And it's no offense to anybody, and I will gladly go into this conversation with anybody, but we are the divine as men. We were the first one established. It's just that I feel like a lot of people just forgot who they were, and they stopped standing on that wall. They stopped believing, and they stopped dreaming, they stopped standing for something. And we just started running after everything.
And I totally agree with you on that, because before I get into that, Chris Stevenson, he said he had made a comment in the chat section. He said sometimes your enemy is not your actual enemy. Your mindset can be powerful, and you're absolutely right, brother. Thank you for tapping in. Please, if you come on, we are live on YouTube. I find Know This Podcast. We're live on YouTube as well as Facebook. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get as many people that we can reach to. Our mission is not to break the community, but to uplift and try to put the community back together. I feel like he's right. That their mindset is a mindset. The mindset that I remember I was trying to change my life, and I ran into this pastor, and he said, transformation of your life begins with the changing of your mindset, the changing of your thoughts. And I remember Terrell also saying the same thing. Shout out to Terrell, man. That's my mentor, big brother mentor right there. Good dude. He said the same thing. He said, I'm going to give you an opportunity. And this is all the 2014. I was 2015, 16 is when I met Terrell. And I remember when I just came home and I was trying to find a job, and I lost everything that I had, bro. I mean, I had money. I was right, worldly right. I wasn't heavenly right, but I was worldly right. And everything that I obtained, I didn't obtain it the correct way. And I'm not shy to talk about that because it was a part of my transformation. And I remember, as I was saying yesterday, that all I wanted was to have those positive conversations because I had a transformation of my mindset. I needed different people around me. I needed to talk to different people. I didn't want to talk to the people from my neighborhood. I didn't want to talk to the people from the opposing neighborhood. I didn't want to talk to anybody that was on the same level. And when I say level, I'm not talking about financial, I'm talking about mental level. I didn't want to talk to anybody that had the same mental level like me. I wanted to talk to people who have a higher level for me to learn from. And I remember Terrell saying something like this. He said, I'm not hiring you because you're qualified for the job. I'm hiring you because I feel like you're looking for an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know that the opportunity I was looking for him. Because I didn't even know I was looking for him. I just knew that my spirit took me there. But the conversation of him interviewing me for the job went from a conversation of, well, do you know how to plug information in on spreadsheets and stuff like that? It went from there to actually counseling me. Mm-hmm. And I was crying. Anybody that work at Drive Time, shout out to Drive Time right there in on Ritchie Road, right there in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Drive Time right there gave me that opportunity when I was really struggling, and Terrell was the reason why. And his man put his job, and he's a GM. He said, I've been told that if I hire you and you screw up, that's my job. And I got a family to feed, just like how you got a family to feed. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you, because I'm pretty sure you probably wouldn't want me to share this, but I'm not getting into too much details, is that I wanted that opportunity, and it's based off of what this brother Chris Stevenson said, that transformation of that mindset, or that mindset can play tricks on you. And they said an unoccupied mind is the devil's what? Playground, right? So when I was going through my transformation, I was like, man, I just needed somebody. I needed to hear that conversation. And I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, where I was searching. I was searching for that help. I was searching for that person that I can run to. Yeah, I've been fasting. Yeah, I've been praying. But my praise and my fasting and my belief wasn't that God do this for me. I said, God, put somebody in front of me. Mm-hmm. Put somebody that's in front of me that is going to help me. Because I know physically you're not going to transcend down here right now. But you can use somebody physically to help me get to that next level. And the only reason why I was able to make that transformation in my life was because of my mindset. I had to change this. And once I changed this, the mindset changed my heart for people. Then I started to gradually matriculate into other different things, like being in the community. All right, let's do some homeless feeding. Let's do some advocacy for the homeless community. Let's do some advocacy for the gun violence. But it started with something. It had to start with the changing of the mind. And another thing you touched on that really hit my heart, and this is why I tell people all the time, if you're going to follow somebody that leads with the right attitude and the right mindset and the right heart. Because like you said, when that Freddie Gray incident happened, everybody, it's just the same thing like the George Floyd.
Right.
Everybody, including myself and my wife, we protested down in DC.
Absolutely.
We protested in Glen Burnie. We protested all over Anne Arundel County. We protested in PG County, right? But what's happening when the 300 murders in Baltimore? Where the protest? Where those so-called leaders at? And this is why I said the leaders, you can't just because you got a big office or you sitting pretty in a nice car or you on TV, it doesn't mean you're a true leader. You're a leader by faith.
Right.
You're not a leader by faith.
You remember what I told you?
Based off a face. You're just a facial. You're just a face. You look the part. You're not the actual part. Yeah. You look the part.
Do you remember what I told you when you was out there protesting?
Oh, of course. Of course.
I told you to take your wife and your kids home.
Go back home.
Go home, man. It's COVID outside. You're a leader of your house.
You sure did.
Worldly stuff, man. See what you're doing now. That's the real protest. Mm-hmm. This right here, that's the real protest. Now you really gonna make a difference. You know, this is real protesting right here.
And it's just crazy because now, you know, and for those who are again tuning in, we are live. This is our first live stream here on Final Notice Podcast. We're streaming live on Facebook on our Final Notice Podcast on Facebook, and we're streaming live on YouTube. So please, if you come on, if you're on Facebook, share it live. If you have somebody that don't have a Facebook, copy the link and share the link with them, because I feel like it's so much conversation, and we're going to have different topics. We have people lined up that we're going to be interviewing. So it's not just a podcast just to hear us talk all the time. We're going to have anybody that is going to help the community out. We're going to have doctors come on. We're going to have nurses come on. We're going to have entrepreneurs come on. If you got a business, if you're what is the word I'm looking for? If you're a business owner and you want us to shout you out, if you're a personal trainer, physical trainer, anything, whatever we can do to uplift and help the community out, that's the mission.
Or even if you, like you said, a local activist in your community. I know my uncle, he is getting out and he's doing a great work down in Tallahassee, Florida. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind helping him trying to get his message out, and we definitely need help down there in Tallahassee. Our people got to step up, man.
So definitely, if you have anything that we can be a part of, that we can support you any kind of way, all you got to do, just drop a message in the inbox. Myself and my brother Aaron will reach out to you. We'll definitely get that together. If you have something that you want us to talk about, if you have questions about things that we talk about, if you're a single parent, I know, Aaron, you raising your daughter. How do a black man raise a daughter? You doing it.
We're going to get all that, bro. We're going to get all of that, bro. It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
I already know.
And when this black man in this world today, it's not easy, buddy.
Man, they don't. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate. We won't put your name out there, and we'll keep you as private as you want us to be. We'll share whatever question you have, but your name, your info, we don't put that out there. We're not here to blast anybody. We're here to uplift. We're here to spread the message. The message is that the final notice. This is your final notice. You may not get that tomorrow that you think you might get. So if today's your opportunity to transform yourself, change your mind, change your trajectory in life, today might be that last day for you. But tomorrow is never guaranteed for any of us. So today's the day that we feel like, hey, if you did something wrong 2 years ago, you want to make a difference, it ain't too late. I was never perfect. I've been a part of the problem. Now my goal is to be a part of the solution. My job is to make sure that young youth, right, don't make the same decisions that I made. And if he does make that same decision, or make the same mistakes that I made, I'm here to help them go through that situation. Because just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you lost forever. It means that somebody needs to hold your hand. Just like how Terrell Ward held my hand. He pretty much built me. God used him to build me back up, because I was, man, Aaron, when you talked about you was broken, bro, man, I was smashed into pieces, bro. I was smashed into pieces. I had friends that I used to think they were friends laughing at me. Oh, he did this and oh, he did that. He ain't never getting out. Oh, and I sat down and I said, God, just like how when Hezekiah got the letter, the declaration of war, and the Bible said he opened it and he laid out in the altar and he said, this is what the king of is it Aziz? This is the letter that they're giving me. They're coming to war to me. He said, Lord, you come read this. I said the same thing. I remember getting down on my knees in the cell, and I'm facing 6 to 20 years. I'm facing 6 to 20 years of my life. And my son's about to be 2 years, and my son is 1 at this time. And I remember going to see my lawyer, right? And he came over there, and he was like, he said, what he said? He said, man, I don't know, man. It doesn't really look good for you at this moment, man. And I just don't. I have to be honest. I've never had a case like this before, and I said, hold on. Are you here to uplift my spirit, or are you here to bring my spirit down? He said, what you mean? I said, because I'm in the middle of fasting, and they called me for me to come sit here. Are you here to uplift me, or are you here to break my spirit? Because if you're here to break my spirit, then listen, I'll see you in court. Then whenever we got to go to court, let me go back and finish my praise and my fasting. So what I did, Aaron, and for anybody that is watching, again, we're live on YouTube and we're live on Facebook. Final Notice Podcast. You can reach us right there on that. Even if you want to email us, it's posted right there. Let me tell you something. I will never tell you anything that I have never tried, and that if it worked for me, I will tell you to do it. I took that paperwork, and I laid down, and I know my cellmate, he was looking at me like, man, what the hell is wrong with this African boy, man? And I laid this documentation down on the floor. And I remember kneeling down and just bowing down on top and hovering over that paperwork. And I said, God, this is what I have done wrong. My God. I said, Lord, this is what I have done wrong. Nobody did this to me. Nobody pointed the finger at me. I did this wrong, Lord. But God, I know you said the day that I remember who you are to me, you will remember who you are to me and come to my aid.
Yes, sir.
Lord, I cannot win this if your hands are not in the midst of this. And I prayed and I cried and I wept. And I remember laying down back on my bunk, and I just put the paperwork on my chest, and I had a dream, and I'm not going to share that dream. And then the lawyer came back the next day. When he came back the next day, he said, man, I filed a motion yesterday, and I didn't think we had a chance in hell, man. But, man, the judge, Katrina Ross, man, that Judge Katrina Ross, and I'm talking about Alabama. We talking about the South of the South. I'm in Alabama, Birmingham. And he said, everything that I asked for, everything that I requested, she granted it. But do you know what was so amazing? I said, no. What was so amazing? I'm sitting there, I'm not surprised because I know the God that I'm serving. I know who I'm believing, I'm trusting in. He said, you know what she said? I said, no, what did she say? She said, it's something about your name. I said, excuse me? My name? She said, she's never seen a name like that before. Where your name from? Now, this is my lawyer. You don't even know where my ethnicity is. Like, you know that I'm African American. You don't know if I'm from the United States or you from Guatemala. You don't know where I'm from, right? But she said she loved your name. And when she tried to pronounce it like 4 or 5 times. And she kept asking me, is it being pronounced right? And I just told her, yeah, because she was just granting everything that Man. So I sat there and I said, let me tell you something. I said, if you can hold the same faith that I'm holding in my heart right now, we will not lose this case. Matter of fact, any case that you have after my case, if you keep this faith that I have, you will always win your cases. Why? Because I transformed this to be able to just transform my heart. I had to change that mindset. And when I made my promises to God, I said, God, I will never try to walk before you. I will always walk behind you. I will let you lead, and I will follow wherever you take me. And if it means taking me to this platform so that way I can reach the next person, then guess what? That's what I'm going to dedicate my life to do. So right. It's not that, we want to come on here and, this ain't no $1 million worth of game, man. I'm not sitting here trying to impress you or trying to smoke weed in front of you and then say, no, this is my final notice to you. If you are anybody that is struggling with anything, if there's somebody that's giving you a bad news, a bad message, I'm telling you, if you try things on your own and you can't be successful, try it. And worst case scenario, Aaron, it just wasn't for you. But try it. Give God a chance. Give yourself that chance for God to prove you wrong. And he has never proven anybody not to be correct.
Hey, I'm gonna refer because I love the Bible, man. And I feel like a lot of people really don't understand it. Even people that I know that's been saved for years, gave their life over to God, who turn around now and says it's this thing like, oh, his book's missing. It came from man and this and the other. Your story is the reason how I know that the Bible is real. There's a story in there about Jacob and Esau, right? Now, people will tell you, like I remember somebody preaching said, oh, the promise was on him. Your promise. But they never talk about the hell that he went through. They never say that man never received his promise until he did what? What he say? He says, I'm a deceiver.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm a liar.
Mm-hmm.
He admitted because
Mm-hmm.
he got tired
Mm-hmm.
and he had to change that
Mm-hmm. His
and to
thinking.
change his heart.
Mm-hmm.
And until he changed his heart and he changed his mind, that's when he said, I'm going to change your name.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about that. That's very profound. And I know man can't make that up, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I think people give too much credit to man.
Hmm.
But like you said, try him.
And I see brother Stephen also had made another comment. And listen, we're going to try to get every comment as we can. We have a lot of comments coming in. Again, we are on YouTube live. We're streaming live on YouTube, and we're also streaming live on the Final Notice podcast on Facebook. Please, if you go in there, follow us, subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Our job is to try to get this message out as much to everybody as we can. I know brother Stevenson said, I applaud the conversation y'all are having. Please, what he says, consider. He said, please consider having an in-person a public round table. So yes, definitely, we'll definitely try to do that. Listen, my home base right now is Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, right? But my heart will be with the DMV. Don't you ever get it twisted. I'm always coming home. I was just there last weekend. So we'll definitely do a roundtable discussion where we have live recording just like this, or live streaming just like this. So please, if you come on, hit the subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, and follow us on Facebook as well for the Final Notice podcast. Man, this is our first intro to it, but this is what you're going to be getting from us. Raw emotion, uncut, uncensored, pure truth. This is the truth. I'm not about to sit here and sugarcoat nothing, because one thing I would not do is I would not deceive you to think I'm somebody who I'm not. But one thing I will refuse to do is I will refuse to hide myself from the rest of the world because I'm scared about what you think about me. That's one thing I'm not going to do.
That's another topic in itself, bro.
Right?
So tell the missus, you're gonna have to write that one down. When we go back and write it, we're gonna have to write that one down. That's a lovely topic, man. Because I don't think a lot of people talk about that process, that pressing process, you know what I'm saying, to accept that. But to brother Steve, he said his name was Steven, right?
Yeah, brother
This is just the beginning, bro. I believe God is going to do exceedingly abundantly beyond what we even think or imagine with this. Right now, we're just answering the calling, bro. You know, it's like you said, it starts with somewhere. I mean, we be having not you. This is what you said something earlier about, starting a pod. Man, you know how long I've been hearing this? Like, I ain't gonna lie, I felt for a long time I was being disobedient, bro. Because like my coworkers were telling me, man, when you gonna start your own church? As soon as you start your church, I'm gonna be the first one there. And I'm like, what's it, like 30, like 34, 35, 36, somewhere like that. And I'm just like, ain't no way in the world I don't want to be nobody pastor. I don't want to be nobody church leader. But that calling was always there. I didn't want to accept that because, I still had to grow. Like I said, I don't want to be seen. I don't care to be seen. But the message is greater than me. Nevertheless, let thy will be done. You know what I'm saying? If this was just an audio podcast, I'd have been happy. I just get it out there. But you know what?
I remember we talked about this. And Brother Stevenson, definitely, man, I would love for you to come on and share your testimony. I don't see why not. Why can't I would love for you to come on. And we can definitely send you an invite to it where we can have the right timing for you to come on, so that way you can share your testimony, because I feel like people need to hear. Most people are so embarrassed about their past. Like, to me, you should be embracing it, especially if you done made it through, man. Like, if God done taken you through all these things that you done went into, the devil came left, right, front, back, and you still surviving. You still surviving. Man, why can't you share your testimony? I told you yesterday, I said, when I was going through my situations, man, I just needed somebody to talk to. Somebody that can have that relationship with me.
They say faith come by hearing, man.
Man, I'm telling you, man, why
people got to hear it. People got to hear the testimony.
Man, we live in a world where nobody's perfect. I've never been the one to sit here and make it seem like I'm perfect. I am the worst. I have done so much wrong in this world, but I strive. Paul said, I no longer worry about what has happened in the past. Rather, I look forward to what's ahead of me. I'm not worried about what people would say or how they would look at me. If you have not done anything wrong, then throw your stone. If you have not done anything wrong and you are superhuman being perfect, throw your stone. If you hit me, you hit me.
Throw it.
Throw it. You know what I'm saying? But if I sit here and lie to you and say, oh, nah, I've never. Man, listen, and I'm coming from two different worlds. I came from the village in West Africa, and I'm in America. So I've lived both sides, and I've known the difference of both sides of this world. I'm from the Atlantic Ocean. You get what I'm saying? So I have so much that I have to give, but I'm sure it's so many of you guys that have so much more that you can give me that I can even learn and grow from. So Absolutely. Why not be instrumental? Why not use your testimony to help the next person? So Amen. definitely, man. We're definitely going to get this together, man. So please, look, the email address is right there. Send us the email. We'll figure out some dates and times where it's convenient for everybody, and we'll definitely sit down and have that conversation. We can chop it up because this is what the platform is for. How can we help each other? How can we get to that final destination? So that way, one day I can see and say, "Man, I remember we was going through this, and me and you, we went through it, and we encouraged each other, we uplifted each other, and now we here. Why can't we do that?" So with that being said, I know we got 5 minutes, right? So this is something that we're going to be doing every episode. What will be your final notice for tonight?
I just want to piggyback. I'm glad you were saying that because I was looking it up while you were saying it, and it just touched my heart. My final notice for tonight would be Philippians. Let's see where we at 3 and 12. Philippians 3 and 12 says, "I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things or that I have already reached perfection, but I press on to possess that perfection for which Christ Jesus first possessed me." Everybody knows I read the NLT version. It reads a lot different than King James. Mm-hmm. But my thing is, none of us is perfect. It's not to say that I've attained or reached that level of perfection. It's just that to say I just forget the things that's behind me and I'm keep moving forward so that I can reach the mark of the Most High and the calling of the Most High, man. And that'll be my final notice. Keep pressing, keep pushing. You know, this is the beginning of a brand new year. I mean, it's what, the 3rd month of the new year. It's still a new beginning, bro. So I press everybody. I would challenge everybody to step into their newness, embrace their leadership, and I'm looking forward to learning from people and still growing myself.
And my final notice for today will be that if you know anybody that is suicidal, that has any mental issues, mental health issues, please talk to them. You know, do your best to encourage them. Be that voice of reasoning for them. You know, just be that. Don't go gossiping their business, but help them through it. There's plenty of resources out there for you guys. So my final notice for today is that if you know somebody that's dealing with any type of mental issue, rather than laughing or talking and gossiping about them, how about you pray for them and help them through that situation? So I want to thank everybody that tuned in. Please leave your comments. We'll get to it as much as we can. Again, follow us on YouTube at the Final Notice Podcast, and also follow us on the Facebook page at Final Notice Podcast on Facebook too as well. I'm one of your hosts. My name is JoJo, and I got my boy Aaron here. And we definitely had a great time here. And we'll tune in next week, Wednesday, at same time, same channel, same station, same passion for the community.
One last thing I want to say, man, and thank you for that. Hey, the Bible says, try the spirit by the spirit, bro. That's what the word of God says. So I pray that even when y'all leave here, that y'all pray and meditate on what we're saying, so that y'all can get the revelation that we had, the revelation that the things that we did, so that y'all can receive it as well. And I thank you for spending time with us tonight.